Hi guys, thanks for joining me today. I'm Marilyn and my channel is Making with Marilyn. Are you new to sublimation and you're looking for some beginner-friendly projects? Or maybe you've been doing sublimation but you're looking to venture into some new projects? Well, on today's video, I'm going to sublimate on this sublimation puzzle. Now these are really fun because you can customize them into anything you want. And in today's video, I'm going to take an image that I get off of Creative Fabrica and I'm going to customize it by putting a little girl's name on it. So in addition to the sublimation puzzles, and you can get these on Amazon, I'll put a link to them in the video description. I'll also use some heat resistant tape. I'm going to use a ruler because one of the first things I want to do is get the exact dimensions of my puzzle. I also have a pad of paper and a pen over here so that when I measure it, I can write down those dimensions. Like I said earlier, I'm going to use an image that I got off of Creative Fabrica. I'll take it into a design software. I'm going to use Silhouette. You could use Inkscape. You could probably even use Word, but I'm going to take it into a program where I can add a name to it. So I'll also use my computer. Now when it's time to print it, I'm going to print it on my Epson EcoTank 15000 printer. Now that printer was not meant to be a sublimation printer. It's not marketed to be a sublimation printer, but when I got it, instead of putting the ink in it that came with it, I put in Hippo sublimation ink instead. So if this is something you're interested in, sit back, relax, and let's get started. I always forget to mention something that I'm going to use, and in today's video, I forgot a few things. I'm going to use HTV sublimation paper. I'm going to use some butcher paper, and that's to protect my heat press, and then I'm going to use this little craft heat press. Any heat press that you use with sublimation will work. I just wanted to be able to do my project right here on the table with you. Let's go ahead and measure the puzzle. I went ahead and took it out of its wrapper, and I'm going to make my design in landscape. So this will be my width, and this will be my height. Of course, you could use it like this as well. Using my ruler, let's get the approximate width. It's just over 9.5 inches wide, but if I make my design fit a 9.5 inch wide blank, it's going to be fine. So we're going to go for 9.5 inches wide. And for me, the height it's a little bit more than 7.5, but again, if I plan for 7.5 inches tall, it'll look fine. Now that we have those, let's jump on the computer. I'll show you my design. I'll take it into Silhouette Studio and I'll show you how I customize it. I want to start by showing you the design that we're going to work with today. Now this is Creative Fabrica. That's a website that has a lot of different designs on it, fonts on it, it has classes, it even has embroidery files. You can purchase these one by one, or you can have a subscription where you can pay $47 for the year and you have unlimited access to so many things. Now, I am not a big fan of things that I have to pay for on an ongoing basis, but I make an exception for this website because I absolutely love it. It decreases my stress in designing. I'm going to go over here to my profile, my downloads, so that I can show you what we'll work with today. It's right here, and this is meant to be for a teacher, but I'm going to make it for a little girl. At this time, you would download it, which I've already done, so I can go ahead and close out of this. Now I have Silhouette Studio Business Edition opened. There are different editions of Silhouette Studio. This one does cost more than the others, but it's the one version of Silhouette Studio that lets you save your designs as SVGs. Since I make and sell rhinestone templates, it's important that I can save mine as SVGs. For today's project, that's not important. Notice I have a piece of paper here, or it's in the shape of a piece of paper. What I did was I went to Page Setup, and I changed my media size to letter because that's what size I'm going to be printing with today. Let's bring in the design. To do that, I go to File, Merge. The file's on my desktop. It's right here, so I'm going to click on it, and then I'll say OK. Now this is an extremely large file, and it took over 15 seconds to come in. So I'm going to go ahead and chop out those 15 seconds so you're not just bored waiting for it to come in. To change the size, I'm going to click on the design. And you can see right now it's 19.685 inches wide. We want ours to be less than 9.5 wide. So I'm going to go ahead and cover over this with my cursor, and I think I'll go with 9 inches wide. When I hit return, the height will change also because the padlock right here is on. All right, now let's go look for it. It's on the page somewhere. So I'm going to use my command and the minus, and there it is. So let's just grab it and drag it over. Now I'm going to click on command and plus so that we zoom in on it. Okay, let's move it over. And it's 9 inches wide and 6.68 inches tall. Remember, we have 9.5 by 7.5 to play with, so I think this will be fine. Now let's add a name to it. I'm going to go right here and click on this A, and then I can click anywhere over here, and in all caps, I'm going to type Sophia. I'm going to click off of it and back on it, and then I can change the font. I'll go right up here, and I'm going to come down to Hobo Standard. This is a very young girl. I don't want it to be in cursive, and I've made other things for her in Hobo Standard. So I'll click on that. All right, let's just drag it and make it a little larger. I'm going to drag from the corner to keep the proportions, but then I want it to be wider. So I'm going to grab from the side. I'm just going to drag it wider. All right, I think that looks pretty cute, but I don't like that color at all. So let's click on Sophia and go over to the fill panel. I'll click on the fill panel, and then I could click on any of these colors. That's kind of cute. And it'll change it for me. But I want to kind of match it to something in the design. So I'll use this little dropper tool. I'll click on it, and Sophia is selected, so I can just find another color in the design and click on it. That changes the color of the font. So we can go ahead and click out of the fill. All right, one more thing. I wish that this had a little black line around it to kind of tie it into the rest of the design. So I'm going to select Sophia again. So with Sophia selected, we're going to go over here to the offset panel. We're going to click on offset. And to get an offset, I can drag this to where I like it, or I can use the up and down arrows, or I can actually put a value there. I like to watch it change, so I don't usually use just a value, but I want it to be really small. I don't want it to be a major part of the design. I just want to help set off the word Sophia. I think that looks pretty good, so I'll say apply. And then I'll go to the fill style and I'll click on black. Let me click off of that, and I think that looks great. Now, right now, my offset is not connected to Sophia. And my offset, I actually noticed it was in individual pieces. So let's go ahead and drag across all of Sophia. I now have the main word Sophia as well as the offset. I'll go up to Object and Group. Now, if I move one thing, it all moves together. Now, I can either eyeball where I want this, or I can select the crayon design and Sophia. I can go up to Object, Align, and let's see what happens if we align it both vertically and horizontally. Okay, that really doesn't look good. It's too high. But sometimes when something is technically centered in the design, it doesn't look good. So I'm going to click off of them, click back on Sophia, and move it down. Now that I'm looking at it, I think Sophia should be a little larger. So I'll drag it from a corner to keep those proportions. And I still can drag it from the side and make it wider. But now I need to recenter it. So let's select the crayon design and Sophia, go back up to Object, Align. This time I just want to center it from left to right. Okay. Then if I need to move it up or down, I'll just use the arrows on my keyboard to make some slight adjustments. I think that looks okay. So I'm going to now group everything together. So I'll select it all, go to Object and Group. Now I want to see how this would look on my puzzle blank. So now I'm going to go to Rectangle, click on it, and I can just drag a rectangle. And it used the last color that I had selected. Remember, that's also the color that Sophia came out. I'll change that in a minute. Now this isn't the right size yet. Let's go to the select tool and let's unlock the proportions, and we're going to make it 9.5 inches wide and 7.5 inches tall. With it still selected, we're going to go to Object, Arrange, and Send to Back. Now I had thought about using a light color for my background, but I think it'll really pop on the white. So I selected it, go to Fill Color, and let's just change it white. I think that's going to look great. Now I like to do one more thing, but let me get rid of this. I like to have a line outside of what your sublimation blank is and have this centered in it so that when you're laying this down on your sublimation blank, you can see exactly where it's going to go. Because right now, if I just print this on paper, my paper is flipped upside down, it's going to be hard for me to tell if it's centered. So I can either make another rectangle or I could just use the one that I have. But I'm going to start with another rectangle. We'll click on it, and then we're going to make it larger than my other rectangle. I want it about 1 inch larger in both the height and the width. So let's change this to 10.5. And then let's have the height be 7 or 8.5. Now it's going to get a little bit complicated, but hopefully it'll make sense. Let's go ahead and offset that. We're going to do a really small offset, and I'm perfectly fine with this small of an offset. We're going to click Apply. Then we're going to go change that black. Okay. If I were to, whoops, I'm dragging more rectangles. Let me delete that and go back to the select tool. Remember, I want the inside of mine to be white. If I were just to drag this off, it's all black. I don't want that. I just want a line. So let's hit undo, and I'm going to select my offset and my rectangle. And hopefully that's all I have. Let me drag it and make sure. Yes. With both of those selected, I'll go to Object, Modify, and Subtract. Now I have just that line that I wanted. And it looks red because something in this software has cut lines in red. I can change that. I can get rid of the red by going to Panels, Line Style, click right here, and then let's change the line style or the line color to transparent. Then you'll just see the black that it was meant to be. Okay. We really don't need this white anymore, so let me select it and get rid of it. And then I'm going to select both of these items. I'm going to go up to Object, Align, and I'm going to center it both ways. Now here's something I just thought about. I cannot print more than 8.5 wide, so we're going to change the dimensions of this rectangle just a little bit. First I had it 1 inch larger than my design. Now I'm going to make it smaller. And it got off a little bit because of that offset, but that's okay. Let's go ahead and have the width at 10 inches and the height at 8 inches because I can print that large. Then we have to remember to go back and realign it. So I have both selected. I go to Object, Align, and we're going to center it both vertically and horizontally. And I don't know that it actually moved. It might have still been centered. Now we're going to go to Object and Group. And now we're ready to print this. We have to do a couple of things though. First of all, when you're doing sublimation, most of the time you have to mirror your design. The only time you don't is if you're actually having your design under your blank, like a piece of glass that's treated for sublimation, and the sublimation is going to come up through the glass. But if you're new, 90, 95, 99% of the time, for some people 100% of the time, you're going to mirror your design. So I have it selected. I'll go to Object, Mirror, and we're going to flip it horizontally. Now the other thing is, it is hanging off the side of the paper, so it really wouldn't print everything. With the design still selected, we're going to Object, Rotate, and we're going to rotate it 90 degrees. It doesn't matter if it's clockwise or counterclockwise. Now let me go ahead and zoom back out and kind of center it to the middle of the sheet. As long as it's within the printing field, I'm fine. Now let's print this and get ready to put it on our puzzle. I'm going to go to File, Print, or you could use your shortcuts on your keyboard. I'll click Print here. And then this is the wrong printer. Let's go up and select the 15,000. And then I want to look at the quality. So it's on normal quality right now. I want that to be high. So I'm going to click right here. And I'm going to change my quality from normal to best. At this time, I'm ready to go ahead and say print. Here's my design, and notice it's not very bright. When you print things out with sublimation ink, they're really not bright until you add that high heat for an extended amount of time. Here's our little line around it. That's going to help us line things up, or it's going to help us center our puzzle on the sheet. And then here's the puzzle. I'm going to go ahead and put this under the heat press for just about 5 seconds. That way, if there's any moisture toward the top of this, hopefully it gets rid of that. Now my heat press isn't up to temperature yet. Eventually it's going to get to 385, and eventually I'll press the sublimation puzzle for 50 seconds. For now, it's on its way to 385, and again, we're just going to press this for a few seconds. Now let's go ahead and take the pads off this. It's going to be easier just to do everything here and then move the pads. I want to let this cool off for just a little bit before I put my sublimation print on it. It is really pretty hot. I've let this cool off about 30 seconds. I think we're fine to move forward. It's not so hot that it would actually sublimate. So I'll put my paper down, and then I'll flip my puzzle with the cardboard backing on it and lay it down on my puzzle. Now let's take that off so we can see if it's centered. So if I center my puzzle in these lines, the design will be centered because remember, we centered the design within the lines. So that's the purpose of this outside line. All right, I think that's going to be good. So let's go ahead and put this on top. The reason I'm putting this on top is because I don't want to tape directly to the back of my puzzle. I'm afraid that I might rip off some of the paper backing if I do. So we're going to tape one side down, and then I think I'll just go to the other side and tape it. I don't think I need all 4 sides. Now I want to hold everything together and just flip it over. My press is up to temperature. It's 385 and I'm pressing for 50 seconds. Let's go ahead and move it over here. It's a swing away, so I can move that out of the way. And we are ready to press. Now, I didn't put my butcher paper on there. I showed you that butcher paper and then I forgot. Let me grab that. Hopefully I didn't shift that puzzle at all and it's still centered. I think it is, but we're going to find out together. All right, let's go ahead and push this back. I want to make sure that the whole puzzle is on top of that pad where it's going to get good pressure. All right, that feels pretty good. Let's pull this press over and let's see what we get. Now the butcher paper is really just to protect my heat press. I want to protect the pad under my sublimation blank, and I want to protect the platen above my sublimation blank. All right, I want to lift this slowly. I don't want to let it jump and have my sublimation paper pop up. And I can see through the back of it. Hopefully that's a good sign. All right, I'm going to let this cool off for just a minute. And then I want to peel my paper back and see if it looks like it has good color. If it looks like it needs more time, I can put it right back under there for another 20 or 30 seconds. Let's go ahead and check it. Oh, that looks good. That looks very, very good. All right, so I want to hold my paper so it's not shifting as I lift it up. Because if you shift this paper when that blank is still real hot, you're going to get some blurring. So try not to shift your paper when you're pulling it off. Look how beautiful that looks. All right, let's do it. That is so pretty. Now, I'm not sure what they're from, but I see some little black dots here and there. It looks like roller marks from my printer. I didn't even notice those before I did this. If I would have noticed them, I would have cleaned my rollers and I would have reprinted. And that is exactly what they are. I can see right here and along there, I can see those roller marks. Look right here. Because the sublimation image is real faint when you print it before you add that heat, sometimes those roller marks can be a little bit tricky. They can sneak in there. Despite the fact that I have those, I think this is still just beautiful. I don't think Sophia's going to mind those little roller marks at all. All right, let me lift this up and show it to you. It's gorgeous. I do have those little roller marks, but it is still just beautiful. Look at the colors in that. Now, to package this, you could just put it in a box like this, put some tissue paper on it, and she could open that box. What I have done before is I've printed a little mini version of this print just with regular ink on a little piece of cardstock, just a real small one. That way she sees what the puzzle looks like. Then I could take the puzzle apart, I could put that picture down in this, and I could put the pieces down in this, and this would be a super cute way to package it. Regardless of how I package it though, I am super happy with how this came out. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you found the video helpful. If you did, or just even entertaining, please give me that thumbs up. Also, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. And then if you do, click on that bell and select the all notification. That way YouTube lets you know anytime I upload new content. So thanks again for joining me. And until my next video, bye-bye.